Good evening, everyone. On behalf of our parent company in Germany, all of the amazing employees of Kron North America, our extraordinary dealer network, we'd love to welcome you all to our first ever live farm show, KronEXPOSED. My name is Trail Evans, and I'll be co-hosting tonight along with my good friend and counterpart, David Taylor. David is actually the one that came up with this idea, and he's also been our project manager on it. So David, maybe if you would tell everybody what we can expect tonight.
Sure thing. Well, thanks, Trail. First of all, I'm David Taylor, Territory Manager, one of the 7 that we have in the southern region for Kron North America, covering the states of North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland. So to all my dealers up there in that part of the world, hello, glad you could join us, and the customers as well. So what is KronEXPOSED? When we were deciding on a name, kind of comical, we thought expo because we want to have an exposition. We also want to be exposed to our customers, and folks said, well, we can't use the word exposed. Well, I want to assure everybody we all are all wearing pants, so don't worry there, we're all good. We're not exposed that way. But we did want to bring you guys into our living room, if you will. And since, as you can see behind us, we've got Kron equipment on display, living room's not large enough, so we brought you into the garage or to the warehouse. We wanted you guys to come with us into our world, so to speak, for just a bit. We want to show off to you not only our product, but also our personnel and our facilities. So we hope to accomplish that today. And just we want to be pretty much 100% honest, 100% open to you guys, let y'all ask us questions, which brings me to my next little point is we do have the opportunity during this 2-day event that you can register for a discount coupon. So there should be a link in the comments section there on YouTube, and you Facebookers, I'm not sure how all that works. I'm sure James and the crew are taking care of that, but there should be a link there as well. So if you click on the link, that'll take you to a registration form. If you're interested in purchasing some Kron equipment in the next couple of months, go ahead and fill that out, submit it, and we'll in turn return a coupon to you that would be good for some cash off some new Kron equipment that you may be interested in. This is a 2-day event, so naturally this is day 1. We've got 3 products that we're going to cover today here in day 1. We're going to cover our 3-point mowers. We're going to do our trailed mowers. We're going to throw in some triple mowers there. I'll explain a little bit more about that when we get there. And we'll also cover our tedders. So again, that'll be day 1, which is tonight. Roughly 30 minutes or so per segment. So if you guys, if you're interested in tedders, you can know it's going to be about an hour from now. If you're waiting on trailed mowers, it'll be about another 30 minutes or something like that. Then we'll actually be right back tomorrow evening, same time, same bat channel, and we'll cover our rotary rakes, our round balers, and then our big square balers. So Trail, I think we got an exciting two days. We're all nervous as ticks, but I think we'll make it through it.
Absolutely, and I'd like to remind everyone, this is a live event, and we've rehearsed it like 3 times and haven't done it correctly yet, so we don't expect this one to be correct either. But we're more concerned about the message and the information that we're giving to you guys rather than the style of it. So we do want you guys to participate, and what we're going to do is if you type in the comment section on YouTube, if you send us a question, or if you email us a question, and if you want to email a question, send it to marketing@kron.com. And we're going to put a link down in the comment section so you'll know where to send it. So anybody that ask a question, and if we put it on air, what we're going to do is send you this really nice Kron hat. And if you like the hat, these are available on our company store, which is krongear.com, and I think we'll put a link in the comment section on that. And we've all got all kinds of cool gear on there. So if you want to get some Kron branded merchandise, some apparel or anything, just go to the website. It's very easy to order off of. It's very well laid out and a lot of cool stuff on it. So yeah, just any questions, again, it's marketing@kron-na.com, or just type a comment on the YouTube page. Okay, everyone, we're back again. Before we get started on the product segment, we feel that Kron and Kron North America has a very rich, deep history. And what we'd like to do is just spend just a few minutes talking about that history. So I'd like to introduce Cliff Addison. Cliff's been with us quite a while, knows a lot about the company, and he's going to share some of his information on the company. So, Cliff, do you think there's a reason that they chose us to do the history part of the presentation?
Yeah, I think we resemble that remark. What was that old Ray Charles song, Two Old Cats Like Us, or something?
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, yes, my name's Cliff Addison. I'm the manager of service here at Kron North America, and appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys tonight for a few minutes. Just want to talk a little bit about our history. You know, the Krona Company started back in 1906, really as a, humble beginnings as a blacksmith shop. So you can imagine, every day toiling over that hot forge and, taking plowshares, sharpen them. In those days, everybody wanted to get as much life out of anything as they could. So they worked real closely with all the farmers in the area. And I think what happened was that Bernard Kron the first, he really learned that the farmers were important and staying in close contact with them. And so they started producing, a lot of simple machines that everybody needed, like cultivators, rollers, packers, fertilized spreaders. They had a fertilized spreader that was patented, years ago. So staying in close contact. And then, going forward, Kron North America, we actually started in the States back in 1973. So 3 German companies came together, the Krona Company, the Mingla Company, and the Niemeyer Company. They came together and like a joint venture and started in 1973 up in New Jersey. And in those days, they were building products. For instance, Kron was building tillers and the Kronervators, which was like a spike tooth tiller, and rollover plows, drum mowers. The Niemeyer Company was building rakes and tedders and a power harrow. And the Mingla Company was building a pull-type forage harvester. So they came over here together and sold those products. And as time went on, about 1986, something like that, they moved down to West Memphis, Arkansas. And they had a young man by the name of Rusty Fowler that took over the company, really into what I would call our current age. And about 1990, that's when I came. About 1990, 1991, Krona made the decision to get out of the tillage tools, to stop building tillage tools and really focus on hay and forage, because they felt like they could do a better job if they were focused. And once they decided to go that route, you start seeing all sorts of new products, new innovations. So 1995, they started building their first square baler. 1996, they started building the Big M, first self-propelled 30-foot disc mower, which was a huge undertaking and project. We brought the first mower over here in 1998. Then in about 1999, the Niemeyer Company was bought out by another company, and Krona decided to take their shares, and in about 2000, we changed over here from KMN to Kron North America, fully owned by the Krona Company. So in 2000 then, Krona decided to start building the Big X, 780 horsepower, the largest chopper at that time being built by anyone. We brought our first machine over here in 2003. So since that point in time, really a lot of innovations, always pushing the envelope, always pushing forward, staying in close contact to bring the farmers the machines that they need to be efficient in the marketplace. So I'm really proud and happy to be a part of this organization and this company, and all that they've done over those years.
Well, thank you, Cliff. I started with Kron in 1999. And when I came to West Memphis to interview, we had one of the original Big M's there. And I was totally impressed by that, and they've only gotten better. And you stop and think about it. We started as a blacksmith shop in 1908. And 105 years later, we've got a 1,200 horsepower forage harvester. So, like I said in the introduction, Kron has a very deep history. Very nice. Yeah. As a matter of fact, someone should write a book about them.
Yeah, I think somebody has.
I think so. So what we have here is we have a book. It's 110 Years of Krona. And we're going to give away 20 copies of this. And I'm going to tell you how you can get a copy. The first 20 people to leave a comment on the comment page on YouTube, if you use the word hashtag KronEXPOSED, and that's hashtag KRONECT. And of course, we'll need your email address or a way to get in touch with you. But the first 20 people that send in this word or hashtag KronEXPOSED, we're going to send a copy of this book to you. And you can also do it via email. Just in the subject line, just put KronEXPOSED in there, and we'll get a book out to you. And I've read this a couple of times, and it is a fantastic book. If you're a history book buff and if you like farm equipment like I do, you'll really enjoy this. So good luck to everyone. I hope you get your copy of this book. So, and
it was written by Nicola Krona, so yes, part of the Krona family.
Yeah,
so
it's a fantastic book. So, well, thank you, Cliff. We're going to take just a short break, and when we come back, we're going to get started on the product. So,
right.
Thank you much.
Thanks, Trail.
It cuts better, lays the hay out better where it can dry quicker. It's never given us any reason to go anywhere else to look for anything else.
I'm not out there working on it. You hook it up to the tractor, you service it, you go. It does a good job.
So in a heavy crop, it doesn't even notice the difference between a heavy crop and a light crop.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're going to start the product segment. We're going to start with our 3-point hitch disc mowers. And I think if there's any single one product that defines the company, it's our disc mowers. We've always had an awesome disc mower. If you're in the market for a new disc mower, it's a very tough decision to choose which mower you want to get. And I'll give you an example. If you're in the market for a new pickup truck, there's like 2.5 to 3 million a year sold, and you've got 6 choices. If you want a new disc mower, the market's probably about 10,000 a year, and you've got over 26 brands that you can choose from. So a lot of times it's a very difficult process to make the right decision. And I have 2 gentlemen with me here tonight that's going to help you make the right decision. So I'd like to introduce Brad Aycock and Jake Pippin, and they're going to give you a lot of reasons why you should consider a Kron as your next disc mower.
I'm Brad Aycock. I'm the territory rep for Mississippi, Alabama, and Louisiana. I've been with the company, this will be my 15th year.
I'm Jake Pippin. I'm the territory service rep for Southern Iowa, Missouri, Southern Illinois, and Kentucky. I've been with Kron for about 5 years now.
So what we're going to talk about, I'll kind of lead the way on it. We're going to talk about disc mowers in general. We have 2 series here. We have our AMR line, which is our standard series, and we have our ECR line, which is our premium series. But before we go into the differences between the two, trying to separate between the two, we want to show you what separates Kron from the rest of the competition out there. So the first thing that you probably notice is no belts on any of ours. We run direct drive from the tractor. All right, so we come directly out of the tractor through a PTO into a right angle gearbox, and then we're going down a drive line inside a double universal joint, directly into the gearbox on the cutter bar, and then we have a gear drive cutter bar, so no belts. That's going to separate us from the competition. A few of the other things that are common between the two that separates us is we have quick change blades. All right, so the quick change blade tool, you'll find it on the headstock up here. Comes with a machine. So I'm going to pull the blade out of our toolbox here. So a lot of people are used to busting their knuckles and all when they go to change blades, and it really is labor intensive because the bolts and everything, the heads will wear down, it'll get wore over time, and it'll be a really pain in the butt to change blades on it. But with the quick change tool that's common amongst both cutters, we have a spring plate that runs underneath here, runs the length of the disc. You put the little tool in there, push down, you can install a blade that quick. Also, our blades are reversible, so if we wear down one side and we want to flip it, use the other, flip it over. There you have it, a quick change system. It comes standard on all Krone disc mowers. The other thing that separates us, that comes standard on all of our equipment, is the safe cut system. All right, I'm going to try to explain the safe cut system, but there's a little video, a little short animation we'll play, and I'm going to talk over the animation and explain it while it's going. All right, so we're mowing hay, going through the field here. We're going to encounter an obstacle. It's going to be a rock in this case. All right, the rock hits it, the pinion shaft keeps spinning, he sheared the pins, and the disc elevates out of the way on the reverse threads. So everything in the cutter bar is continuing to spin, and we've elevated out of the way so the neighboring discs don't beat it to death, so to speak. So the first thing you'll notice is you're streaking behind the mower. You'll get out, want to know what's going on, and then Jake is going to walk you through replacing the pinion, or replacing the pins inside here. Is it still?
So down here you can see I've already taken the bolts out so we can get this cap off. That's going to come off. We can take our disc and our spring plate and set off to the side. Now in your toolbox you're going to have this spanner wrench, and what this is for is this nut on top. It'll just slide over that. So remember, like in the video, when you shear that roll pin, this is going to come up. So you're going to have to take that off to replace or to knock out the old roll pin, and then you're going to have to use a spanner to run it back down, put your new roll pin in, and you're back in business. Some other things that will come with the toolbox is this tool right here. So it's got two parts to it. This part is for checking the pin to see if it's worn out and needs to be replaced. This part here is for checking your spring plate to see if it needs to be replaced. So you'll have to kind of bear with me here because it's easier to show off the machine, but what you're going to do with it on the machine is, if you can see in there, there's that pin. If this right now does not slide over it, that means my pin is still good and not worn out. Now if it was worn out and just slid over like it does over my pinky, that gives you an indication that that pin's worn and needs to be replaced. And this part right here is going to slide in here, and then if you can't see, if that spring plate doesn't stick out past this, that's how you know your spring plate's worn and needs to be replaced as well. Just to show you, that's what your spring plate looks like underneath your disc. Now, a little bit closer look at the hubs. I got two of them here, and you can notice, if you guys can kind of zoom in, I don't know if you can see that real well, but the one right here has a groove in the top. Okay, so that's going to indicate that this is a left-hand rotation hub. This one right here does not have a groove, so this is a right-hand rotation. So if for some reason you need to switch the the cutting array or whatever underneath here to get your windrows how you want them or whatever, if you can do that, you just need to make note of the difference here. This is the roll pin that you can see inside of there. That's what's actually going to shear when you hit something. It'll come with I think it comes with 2 roll pins. This particular one did, but one thing to note is how the roll pins are orientated. So this one, the gap is right here. The inner roll pin is pointing the opposite direction. It's important to note that if you go to replace them, they need to be like this when they go back together in order to make sure it's going to function properly. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Brad to go over some more of the sales features with you.
Yep, so another one of the big features, and we're still talking about commonalities between the two cutters that sets us apart from the competition, is our low profile cutter bar. So this is a fully welded cutter bar. I'm touching the cutter bar here, all right? This is not the cutter bar, this is not. This whole thing right here is the cutter bar. So it's a fully welded cutter bar in an oil bath inside there. There's big spur gears right here and here. Every place you see a bushing is a big spur gears. Now those spur gears turn pretty slow inside there, but we run a satellite pinion gear on the edge here. So the larger gear with the smaller gear here gives us a high blade tip speed. All right. Low profile, so that means we're sitting flat on the ground right now. And if you measure, I'm probably cutting 3.5 inches sitting flat on the ground. So all we have to do is tilt it just a little bit further, and then we'll be at 2 or 1 inch. A lot of the competition out there can't say that. They have to tilt their cutter bar way over to get a good close cut. The other things I want you to notice here is our skid shoes. All right, from here to here is a skid shoe, and it runs all the way to the back, all the way. So that protects that cutter bar sliding across the ground. All right, it's a full skid shoe. It's not a T or a partial skid shoe. It is a full skid shoe front to rear. What that does is that gives you protection on the front and the back. A lot of the competition out there, if you're going through the field, they'll protect pretty good on the front. So for instance, you hit a stump, you jumped over the stump, when the cutter bar fell down, you would hit it on the back side. We're fully protected all the way through. All right, the other piece here, this piece, this is a cast weld-on piece. It's not part of the cutter bar. You can actually buy it out of the parts book. What that piece does is when you're mowing through the field and you hit something hard enough to bend the blade but not shear the pin in the safe cut. So what it'll do is the blade will either bend up and your cut quality goes way down, or the blade will bend down. If it bends down, then you really have a problem, because you're in a cab tractor, you can't hear anything, and all of a sudden you're digging into a cutter bar. What this piece does is as it turns, it hits, pops the blade back up, bends the blade out of the way. All right, so I tell a lot of salesmen, if they're going out there and looking at trades and whatnot, if this piece is wore all the way back to the cutter bar, then it's lived a pretty rough life. All right, the satellite pinion gears, I touched on that. So you can actually pull these pinions out, and if you pull these out, the cutter bar still turns. So it's a single loaded pinion design. That's common throughout all our machines. So what that means is it's only carrying the load that it's cutting. So if this pinion were in between the spur gears, like some of the competition, it's carrying the whole load of the cutter bar. The other thing is our tarp. A lot of salesmen miss this. So a lot of the competition, you have to get out to fold the tarp back before you fold the machine up. On ours, you do not. You can fold the machine up with the tarp down. So you wouldn't think it would be a pretty big deal, but it is if you have a bunch of small fields in one day. So now we're going to focus on this part of the cutter here. This is our AMR series. It's the standard line. Okay. I showed you our little toolbox earlier. It's actually got part numbers and whatnot inside there. Holds 2 sets of blades, hold all your shear pins and whatnot. The other thing I want to show you, quick change tools housed here. Single hose to hook up. It's the single acting hydraulic cylinder. And then our spring setup. Depending on which model, we offer this model, the AMR series, we go from 6.5 foot all the way to 11 foot 10. It'll have 1, 2, or 3 springs depending on what size. The spring setup, this spring here holds the heel of the cutter bar, so the inner third of the cutter bar. These two springs hold the outer 2/3 of the cutter bar. All right, the pins in here, so these obviously don't have any tension on them right now. In mowing position, these hooks will be hooked over the bushings right here and would hold the outer end of the cutter bar up. If you want to add flotation, so you want to make the cutter bar lighter, you would put these pins in one of these holes down here. Make sure they're both in the same hole. And then when you fold it up, these would automatically latch over. You'd set it down, and then you'd have the tension on it. This particular model, we talked about direct drive. This drive comes through the PTO into the gearbox, and it has an internal direct drive. All right, so it runs inside through a double universal joint and into the gearbox. You'll see that be a little bit different in our premium cutter. The safety breakaway on this one is right here. So what happens when you hit something, these two pieces of metal will slide apart. The spring's holding them together right now, but they'll slide apart, and the cutter bar will break straight back. All right? Sure.
I think this is probably for Jake, but Mark wants to know, what is the routine maintenance on mowers?
We're actually just about to do that.
Okay.
Mark, just be a little bit more patient and we'll get there in just about 2 more minutes.
All right, thank you.
You're ready. You're ready to go now.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So routine maintenance. Underneath here, it's going to be kind of hard to see. Underneath this curtain on the back side of the cutter bar is a drain plug. And Mark, bear with us. I will show you a little bit better once we get over to the other mower when we fold it up and we don't have a curtain in the way. So you come up to here, then you have your tower gearbox where your input drive comes in, goes into here. You just have a sight plug, drain plug, breather. Grease zerks on the mower. There's 2 down here in this double U-joint. 2 right here for the pivot. You have your right angle gearbox. Same thing, drain, fill, and a vent. 2 grease zerks here. 2 grease zerks here, and then your grease zerks on your drive line. All the gearboxes take 80/90, including the cutter bar, so there's no need to carry 3 different types of oil in the shed and get them all confused. That's gonna be pretty much it as far as what I'd say daily maintenance or routine maintenance that needs to be done. I don't remember the intervals off the top of my head because I'm not a numbers memory guy, but that's going to be pretty much it as far as maintenance on it. With that, you ready to head over to the ECR mower? And
Yep. We'll head over to the ECR. We'll start on the outer end here on the cutter bar. So this mower looks really, really similar to what we were looking at, except everything on it is a little bit beefier and a little bit heavier. So we've got wider skid shoes, we've got longer discs, we got longer spring plates, we've got heavier duty wear pieces inside there, and our gears inside there are much larger, so they're actually turning a little bit slower, and you're getting the same blade tip speed out of it. So just a beefier, heavier cutter bar when you go to our ECR series. Disc and drums are both bigger. So when we move down the cutter a little bit, I want to show you some other things that set it apart. So one of the other things is our safety breakaways right here. You remember this spring from the other one over there? Remember the other one, when we hit something, we broke it straight back, okay? This machine, when you hit something here, since it's an integrated safety breakaway on this big arm, the frame that I'm touching here and the cutter bar will break back like this and up to get it over what you hit. So if you hit a stump, it'll immediately break it back and up, and then it'll automatically reset. And if you're in a cab tractor running through the field at 10 or 11 miles an hour, it happens that fast. Chances are you may have sheared a hub too, so you ought to get off and check it, but you don't have to back up to reset or anything. It'll automatically reset. The other big thing that you notice here is this big arm coming across, all right? We didn't have that in the other one. Remember we had our 3 springs in the other one? That mower hinged off the outer end. okay? Work like that right here. This machine is actually held in the center of gravity, right here. And it's actually pulled through the field with these parallel bars. So it actually floats with the contour of the ground a little bit better than the other one. All right. Follow me back a little bit further. We're coming out of the tractor with our direct drive line again, going into our right angle gearbox. But remember, we were internal on that one. We're external on this one. So now, if something happens to the drive line on that machine, you have to split it apart. On our premium line, it's all external, so you can get to it really easy. External direct drive on it. We've got one spring, okay? We had 3 springs on that one. Remember, we're holding the center of gravity out there, so all we're holding up is the weight of the cutter bar. So we have one spring. So the further you go this way, the less the tension. The more you go this way, the more the tension on it, the lighter the cutter bar will be. So right now we're in the hook position, so if he sets it down, it'll put spring pressure on there and the cutter bar will be light. If we wanted to park it, we would flip it up like that. He could set it down and there would be absolutely no spring tension on it. All right. The other thing is, this one comes with a much heavier headstock. You can see that, it's obvious, way beefier headstock. It also comes with a 4-point stand, which is standard. That machine, a stand, a vertical storage stand is offered, but you have to buy it through parts. And this machine here, it comes standard with it. So we can actually fold this machine up, store it on concrete vertically. Your integrated toolbox, right here, looks just like the other one. Has all our quick change tools in it. Our safe cut tools in it. Roll pins, 2 sets of blades, and the part numbers for the blades. Our little quick change tool is on the back, right here, tucked away. And I guess the last thing we want to show them, Jake, is folding this machine up. So what I want you to really look at here, there's a few things that I want you to look at. The first thing is probably going to be, this machine is going to fold over center, so it's going to fold up to 100 degrees. That's going to accomplish a few things. The first thing it's going to accomplish is it's going to center the weight on the tractor. So you notice the tractor's leaning just a little bit that way because we got it up at a headland position. So when we center it up, all the weight's going to be directly on the 3-point. It'll center the tractor up. The other thing is, it's going to fold over and the outer end of the curtain is going to flip down and it's going to make you a little shorter going down the road, so not as tall. The other thing you're going to see, if you had a mirror on this tractor, you'll be able to see out of your right side mirror. With some of the other models that fold up to 90 degrees, you can't see out of the right side mirror. This little feature here, I almost missed it. So it serves 2 purposes. One purpose is serving right now. When the mower's up at a 45, so he made it to the end of his row, he pulled it up to a 45, he's going to make his pass to turn around. He's got his mower at full 540. He hits his remote. It bottoms out on this stop right here. Okay? So that means he don't have to pay attention to the mower. He just hits his hydraulic remote. It bottoms out on the stop. He makes his turn, and then he pushes his remote back into float. All right, when I mean float, I mean putting the hydraulic cylinder into float position. So we want all the weight to be on the spring right here, not on the cylinder. All right? The other function it serves is this little notch right here. So when this machine folds all the way up, there's a pin on the other side that'll latch into this notch. And what that'll do is that'll lock that mower up. So if you're going down the road, it's a mechanical lock. So if you're going down the road, you're in the cab tractor, you're talking on the phone, your elbow hits that remote, it doesn't fall down without you knowing about it and clear out some mailboxes. It's mechanically locked. So you actually have to pull the cord and then unfold it to mechanically unlock it. Anything I missed on it, Jake?
No, I think you got her pretty good.
Okay.
If you want to go ahead and fold her up and show that.
Yeah, we'll fold her up right quick and y'all watch everything we described and see what happens. So he folded it up, the curtain fell down automatically, and when he unfolds it, it'll fall back over. It's mechanically latched, so if he hits his remote right now, it won't fall. It's mechanically latched. And he set it down on the 4-point stand. So it's sitting there. You can unhook it from the tractor right now and it would stand up.
Ready to talk about service?
Yeah, if you're ready, we'll run through the service stuff on it.
Sure.
Easier to see now.
So one thing you heard Brad talk about on the AM mowers, about the skid shoes being full length. As you can see, they go all the way back to the back, so protection the whole way through. Mark, this one's for you. You was asking about maintenance. Right here's your fill plug for your cutter bar. So you got a fill plug there, drain plug, and you got a vent at that end that's recessed into the mower or into the cutter bar itself. So whenever it's time to check the oil or change the oil, you just pull this plug out. As long as your oil's up to here, you're good to go. Grease zerks are pretty much identical to what we had on the other one, except for you got for the center of gravity point here in the center, 2 on each arm here for the dual grip. Obviously you got grease zerks for your U-joints and stuff like that in the drive line. Tower gearbox, same thing as over there, drain fill plug. All this takes 80-90 oil, nothing special. Your 90-degree gearbox over here, fill plug, drain plugs down here on the bottom. Now there is a black plastic shield that goes over this. We just removed it for this to be able to actually show everything in here, otherwise you're just looking at shields. Other than that, that is pretty much going to be it for service on this thing as far as routine maintenance. If there's no other questions.
Do we have any questions,
Trail?
Yes.
Oh.
Great job, guys.
It's a hard question I'm giving it to Jake.
Okay, it's not a tough one at all. So Ralph from Texarkana wants to know if our mowers bring everything to the center or spread the crop out.
You can actually do it either way. We order them where everything is spread out. We call it B rotation. Germany gets A rotation because they manufacture it. But A rotation is bringing it to the center. B rotation is spreading it all the way out. We get all of our disc mowers, 3-point disc mowers in B rotation. And Jake, if you want a quick overview of how to change it, you had the hubs over there. So
I was going to say that's pretty easy to do. If you remember where I was showing the hubs, where they had the different grooves on the top, you can just take a left hand, put it in a right hand, vice versa. You'll have to consult, either your dealer or the OM to see which ones you're going to have to switch to get which configuration you want, but it's still relatively simple to do and isn't going to take you all day to do it.
All right, thank you, Jake. And I have a question, if that's okay.
sure.
You guys talked about a lot of features on the mowers tonight. What is your favorite, Brad?
Well, I turned 40 this year, so I've gotten. I like easy things.
I'm almost there.
Yeah, I like things that are easy. I'm getting lazy. So I guess 2 for me. The quick change blades would be the first one. That does save a heck of a lot of time, a lot of busted knuckles and whatnot. The other thing is the typical sales feature that a salesman misses is not folding that tarp back every time you have to get off. So say you got to go cut 5 fields in a day, you have to get off and on the tractor on every field to fold the tarp back, and on ours you do not.
Yep.
So, and I love sitting in the air conditioner.
Absolutely.
That's my favorite thing.
That is a good feature. So Jake, same question.
I'd have to say the safe cut hubs.
Okay.
It's a nice feature that I've seen other competitive machines where if you take out a hub, it just instantly stops turning, and there's a good chance you take out the one on the left or the right hand side of it. This one, with it spinning up out of the way, I mean, your other blades aren't hitting it. You're just going to have to see the streaking and know something's going on. So I do like that it just takes one out and you're done.
All right. Well, thank you, guys. You did a wonderful job. And I'll remind everyone, if you have a question, just send it in, and we've got all the experts here. We'll get you an answer. So appreciate you guys, and we're going to take just a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about disc mower conditioners.
It cuts better, lays the hay out better, working dry quicker. It's never given us any reason to go anywhere else to look for anything else.
It's a lot easier to change the blades. It's got the quick change blade system on it.
All right, well, welcome back. Had a little pause for the calls right there just a second. Glad you stayed with us. You've already met me and Jake. We both introduced ourselves. So got a little segment here that I've thrown in, and I've got a confession here. Oh, before I do that, Trail just mentioned it, but please, if you've got questions for us, put them in that comment section, send them or email them to us. The more questions you ask, the better chance we've got of talking about things that you really care about instead of you guys hearing stuff that we want to talk about. So please send in the questions. We'll be happy to answer those. So as I was saying, I've got a confession to make here to Jake. As Trail mentioned earlier, kind of my brainchild for this whole event. In planning it out, I forgot to include this next segment that I've asked Jake to help me with. So at the last minute, I asked Jake, I said, hey, can you help me with this segment? I forgot to include it, forgot to plan for it. We don't have the equipment here to show. So for the next 10 minutes or so, you guys just get to watch Jake and I have a little conversation. We don't have equipment to walk around. So Jake's out, no pressure on Jake. It's all on me because I'm the one that messed this up. But what we want to talk to you about for just the next little bit, and Jake's had some experience with these, and that would be our triple mowers. And Jake, I think you'll agree, but in my territory, it seems that this segment, this product segment that we offer is a growing segment. We're selling more and more. More customers are inquiring, asking questions about them. Do you see the same thing? And if so, what do you think's driving that?
Yeah, I see quite a bit of growth there. There's been a lot more questions about it, definitely, that's for sure. I think what's driving it is a lot of the guys that I've talked to that have been interested are primarily interested because, if you have a self-propelled mower and your growing season's only 4 or 5 months, that machine is really only useful for 4 or 5 months. You're still doing oil changes and all that jazz to it, and most of the year it's parked in the shed. Whereas if you had a set of triples, that could be your planting tractor during the spring. That could be your auger cart tractor come fall, or that could be the manure handling tractor come winter. I mean, it gives you more flexibility with your machines to get more bang for your buck as far as that goes. So I think that's a lot of what's driving it.
I agree with you 100%. And of course, triple mowers, I'm sure most of you already know, but in case somebody out there doesn't know, triple mowers, triples 3 of course, and we need 3 mowers to make a complete set. So we have a front mower and 2 rear mowers. Jake, I don't know if other companies do the same thing that Krone does, but we call our rear gigs, our rear setups, as butterfly mowers. So butterfly mowers would be the 2 mowers on the back, 2 of the 3 mowers. So just tell us a little bit about what Krone has available for our customers in a butterfly mower.
So we have, this is one of those tangents I could get on and talk about for probably an hour and a half and cover half of it. But we can go from ranges of 24 feet 6 inches all the way up to 33 feet and 2 inches. We offer conditioners, CR, which is the roller machines, the CVs, which is the V-tines. We offer no conditioners. We offer belt mergers. We offer auger mergers. You can get no conditioners. You can get mergers with no conditioners. I mean, it's an endless array of combinations that you can get. It just all depends on what you're wanting to do, whether that's dry hay, wet hay, chopping. I mean, it's an endless array that we can go down that rabbit hole for hours, and I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to hang out for a couple of hours, Jake and I will just talk about triples. Everybody can listen in. But basically, we have such a varied and a variety of options that we can pretty much meet any need, any desire on our triples. So go back to those butterfly mowers, and earlier when you and I were talking about these, we wanted to mention maybe the high end, low end. I know that's probably not technical term for what we want to call this, but we've got so many options. Maybe explain to the folks options, what's available, what might make in our terms a mower a high end versus a low end mower.
Okay, so all the mowers come I mean, it doesn't matter if you go with a 750 or a 1000. Parking stands, the similar breakaway setups that we've seen on the AMR mowers. Excuse me. And yeah, so the 750 to 870 range is going to be what you was talking, kind of the basics. It's manual adjustment, spring flotation. It has the curtains similar to the AMR mowers. And yeah, it's kind of a base model, lightweight, no conditioner option for those particular models. But if that's for somebody, if they're wanting something that could maybe go on a lower horsepower tractor, smaller frame tractor, that would be a good option for them to get into a set of triples right out of the gate.
So spring flotation, more of a basic setup, mechanical setup, but you mentioned curtains similar to an AMR.
Yep.
So our butterfly mowers, a lot of the same characteristics as what you and Brad just went through
Yeah.
on our 3-point mowers.
Yeah, if you remembered Brad pointing out the duo grip on the ECR mower, very, very similar to what we have on the triples or on the butterflies. I mean, as far as flotation goes, as long as you get them set right, and the important things, them two arms that he showed you back there, as long as you got those level, I mean, that's usually the common issue I see when somebody's complaining about flotation is those bars, they're not parallel, and that's going to get you every time.
Yeah, if we get a chance, maybe later on, we'll point that out again on our mowers. All right, so now transition for us to the 1000, the full
Cadillacs.
feature, the Cadillac. So what do we got here?
So with those, again, you kind of run into a wider range. You have electric over hydraulic flotation. So what that means is it's all controlled through the terminal in the cab. You poke a button, you put in the percentage you want for your flotation, and you're good to go. So it can be done on the fly. Same thing with side shift. Now what I mean by side shift is the mowers can suck in or go out and come back in. So if you got hilly ground or something where you're going to be on the hillsides, that's a great feature to have because you're going to have to offset a little bit just on account of the way the front mower is on the hills and whatnot. Like I said, with that one, you got the option to run an ISO as well. You also have the option of controlling all three mowers with the push of one button. What that's good for is, you can tie it into your tractor's guidance or your tractor's radar, and you can actually control the mowers. You can actually set to where you control the mowers off of either guidance lines, ground speed or distance, which would be tied into the tractor's radar, or you just do it off a time delay, which you manually punch in on the terminal and do it that way. So you're not, once you get to the end of the road, you're not sitting there hitting 5 different buttons and hoping you got the right ones. So.
Perfect. Thanks. I'm going to interrupt us here just a little bit. We got a couple of questions coming in. Since I encourage questions, if you don't mind, we'll answer these. These I don't think specifically would pertain to our triples, but let's give it a shot. What do you think?
Yeah.
So John has sent in, and he said the new salesman here. So John, welcome aboard to the Kron train. He said, is there a slip clutch safety as well on mowers? So I don't know if we really covered that on the 3 points, but kind of wrap that in there for all those if you would.
Yeah, all of them have a slip clutch on the drive line. That's pretty much standard on all of them. Most of them are usually the friction clutch, so yes, there is a clutch protection on there.
That's on the butterflies as well, right?
Yes, yep. There's one on either. So there's a drive shaft that runs back into the headstock and then tees off to both mowers, and there's one on each individual mower. So it's not one for the whole machine, it's one for each wing.
All right, so I'm gonna put you on the spot here, all right? We've got another question. And I always hate it. It's like when you're driving around and you ask for directions and somebody says you can't miss it. Well, then if you miss it, you feel like a moron, right?
It's by the old barn they tore down 20 years ago.
So to me, this is an easy question, so no pressure, right? Question is, what service parts may come in handy to avoid prolonged downtime? For example, I just hit a tree limb with my mower. What am I wishing that I have with me?
Depends on the size of the tree.
Yeah, and how fast you're going, right?
That's kind of a trick question almost, but You know, in all reality, your safety breakaway should take care of the mower to protect it. The safe cut hub that we showed you, you know, it comes with roll pins in there, so I would definitely keep those. I did have some guys, especially with the triples, that would actually just, if they sheared a pin, they would just take the whole hub out, put it in. It's up to you if that's something you want to do. Definitely knives. I think that's a good thing to keep there anyway. Depending on what mower you have when you hit the tree, you might just need a BFH to bend some of the shields back out of the way. I mean, it's possibilities are endless. Depends on the size of the tree, I guess. I hope that answered it. I don't.
Yeah, I think you answered it perfectly. Hopefully, you know, if all things go well, if our shear hubs work like it has, you need a couple roll pins, a hammer and a punch to punch them out and punch them back in, a few wrenches, and you're good to go.
Yep.
That again depends on how big the tree was that you hit, right? All right, so thanks for the questions. Y'all keep those rolling in. We'll answer those as we go along. I know Jake doesn't mind. We'll sit here as long as we need to. So Jake, we've covered on the triples, we've covered the rear butterflies. That's 2 of the 3 we need to fill in the third mower, thus the triples. So that brings us to our front mowers. So tell us what Krone offers, if you would, in our front mowers.
So the front mowers, we range in size from 8 feet 11 inches of cutting width to 11 feet 10 inches. Again, same thing as the rears. You can either get no conditioners, CR rollers, or CVV tines. And that's most of what we sell is usually the glides. So you'll kind of see later on with some of the trailed machines how the flotation springs work on that. It's very, very similar to the way the glides work, as it's more of a, this one always gets everybody when I say it, even though it's attached to the front of the tractor, it's technically a pulled unit and not a pushed. I know that's a hard one to kind of wrap your head around at times. Took me a few minutes, but that's, if you actually look at the headstock and how it works, it's actually being pulled across the field instead of pushed. So that's something that really helps with flotation.
A common question that customers will ask me when we're talking about triples is, you got a front mower, and our size is 9, 10 to 12 feet.
Yep.
You got butterflies at the back. Is there a magic formula that lets me know which front mower works best with which butterflies?
That's going to partially depend on your tractor setup that you're using. If you're on flat, perfect fields, or if you're on hills, there's no real good cookie cutter answer for triples. I will say that it's one of those we need all the information from the customer, what you're cutting, your field conditions, tractor size, all that stuff, to really get a good grasp on what's going to suit your needs and what you're looking for out of the end product. So again, I know it's a vague answer and I apologize for that, but I don't want to tell you, yeah, you can get this and you'll be fine, and then Joe buys it and has hilly ground and it doesn't work that good. So it really depends on ground condition.
Well, you had to give us a vague answer because it's literally that dependent on conditions.
Yep.
So you and I could be neighbors. We could even farm the same fields as partners. But if I have a little different tractor setup, then that might mean I need a little bit different triple mower setup.
Yep.
We're looking at overlap. We're looking at horsepower. We're looking at, am I on a hill where the mower might drift a little bit?
Yeah.
All of that can play into that.
You got to look at, front suspension. Is it solid axles? Is it independent front suspension? I mean, there's so many variables anymore with tractor configurations that it takes a minute to wrap your head around it.
So I think this is a good place for me to insert a plug for our service team at Krone. It's all these variables that Jake's talking about. If you notice on his shirt, it says service. You notice on my shirt, there's no service. So that means he's got more up here than I've got. But these guys, we like what we do. These guys study, they learn, they train. So we would like to be involved when you start making these decisions. So if a customer in Jake's territory or even in my territory and I need Jake's help, no problem. I pick up the phone, call Jake. We want to work with you to make sure we get exactly what you need. One more point I want to make, and then we're going to move on to tractor requirements, Jake, but we mentioned we've got mergers available.
Yep.
Some customers may not understand, even though we've got a merger attachment, we can lift that merger out of the way and not merge if we don't want to merge.
Yeah.
So you can if you want a merger for some conditions, some crops, but not merge for others, it's pretty simple. You just raise it up out of the way and you go from merging to not merging and back and forth, vice versa. Is that pretty accurate there?
Yeah. If you're a custom operator and mowing in front of a chopper, you can bring all 3 windrows together. If you're mowing along a fence or something and you want to get that one windrow away from the fence, you can raise the one up, put down the center windrow, put down the one wing, and then merge the other one into the center windrow, no problem.
Perfect. All right. Last thing for us, and then we'll be able to wrap it up, and I'll let you off the hook here. It takes a little bit of a special get up on the tractor side to be able to work with a front mower. What do we need on a tractor to be compatible with the front mower, therefore being able to work with triples?
So obviously, front hitch and front PTO. I know if you go back about 20 years ago, probably wouldn't ever see one over here in the States. They're getting more and more popular, but that's going to be the main requirements. Now, obviously, like I said, depending on conditions, going to dictate the size of the tractor, the frame size of the tractor you're going to need, and weight setup. But some other things to make life way easier on you if you do decide to go down that avenue is the lower link arms on both the front and the rear. Need to take consideration on those. If you have the solid type that just have the hole through them that you slide over the pin, those can be a little tricky to get hooked up. If you have the style that has the claw to where you can open up the top, just come in underneath the pins, pick it up, it's going to be a lot simpler. The other thing that I recommend is a hydraulic top link. I would recommend it for both the front and the rear. Like I said, it's not something you absolutely have to have, but you got to take into consideration the way you adjust your length or your height of cut on a front mower and a rear mower is with that top link. So if you got a manual turnbuckle style top link, every time you want to set that, you're going to have to get out, tweak it, and get back in. Okay, I don't like that. I need to go a little lower, get back out, tweak it, get back in. So, if you're not the kind of person that you got all pristine, flat alfalfa fields and you can set it once and be done, God bless you. But if you're like the rest of us where you got to change, usually depending on this field's got rocks, this one don't, then I would recommend that hydraulic top link to make life a lot easier.
Perfect. One more thing, front mowers.
Yep.
Let's say I don't want to dive into the full set of triples. If I've got a 3-point, hang a front mower on the front. If I've got the tractor that's equipped to handle it,
Yeah.
and then maybe double my cutting width per pass right there.
Yeah, so I mean that would be a perfect setup, because most self-propelled cutters are usually around that 16-foot range, unless you go to a big M. But most of them are about that 16-foot range. So you combine that with 8 foot on the front, then you get a 9-foot mower on the rear. Yeah, you got 2 different windrows, but you're still knocking down that same width as you are with that self-propelled windrower. And guess what? When you're done mowing hay, I need to go hook it to the feed wagon, or I need to go hook it to the manure spreader, and you still have, I can't stress enough how much I love having that versatility. I love things to have multiple purposes and not just one, because you're getting more bang for your buck out of it.
Yep. Perfect example of why I should have thought about this and planned for it all along during our KronEXPOSED event, but I did not want to leave it out because of a lack of foresight on my account. So Jake, thanks a lot.
Yep.
Again, folks, if you got questions, send them to us. I think that's going to wrap it up here on triples. So we'll take a short video break here, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Got two fine gentlemen here with me. We're gonna transition into trailed mowers. Don, you and I were talking just a little bit ago, looking at some numbers, and roughly 40% of the mowers that we sell between 3 points and trailed mowers are the trailed mowers, which was kind of surprising to me. In my territory, we sell a whole lot of the disc mowers, the 3 points. Trail mowers are certainly a big part of our market, something that I wasn't quite aware of. You folks that are listening in, you may like the agility and how nimble a 3-point mower is, but our trailed mowers give us some more options, more things that are available, and you're maybe able to squeak a little bit wider cutting width onto a smaller tractor because you're simply not carrying the weight around. So certainly plenty of room for trailed mowers in our lineup, and we have a full lineup. I did want to mention real quickly, the two mowers that we have on display here this evening are our newest design, newest styled, what we call our Easy Cut TS and TC models, and these guys will talk just a little bit more about that. But we do have those two feature here, again, our newest design, newest style. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves here. I've got Rob Wallander and Don Woodley, and Rob and I have to share a mic. COVID, budget, blame it on whatever you want to, but we're going to share a mic here and let these guys introduce themselves, and then we'll take off on trailed mowers.
Hello, I'm Rob Wallander. I'm a region service manager, and for us here tonight, that basically means I am responsible from about Maryland down to East Texas. I've been with the company for 27 years, so I've been around for a lot of the things that David or Cliff and Trell were talking about earlier tonight, so we've seen a lot of changes in that time.
And I'm Don Woodley. I've been with the company about 13 years. I actually started working in the warehouse here and did many other jobs before I went into sales. And now currently I am the regional dealer development manager, as well as covering the territory for East Oklahoma and Arkansas.
You've worn a lot of hats with the Kron company.
I like to change hats quite often. My head gets old.
The only thing you can't do is count money and turn a wrench, right?
That's right.
All right, well, you want to talk to us a little bit about these trailed mowers?
Okay, what we'll start with is I want to cover similar features to what we've already talked about with the disc mowers. This is the same chrome cutter bar that is on the ECR mower. Same disc internally, so you still have the same large disc for quieter, smoother running. It also, you can see here where they pointed out, you have the full coverage of the disc plates covering the whole cutter bar. You have the thin profile, and it's also the same one-piece cutter bar to minimize the leaks. One thing that we do have with our mower conditioners is we send a set of high cut skids, is what we call them. You can typically get about a 2-inch cut without these, but if you wanted to go to a higher cut, you can put these on. There's a spacer bar on it. You can use that with or without it, and I think with those on you can get up to about a 5-inch cut. We also, like they mentioned before, all of our mowers are coming with the quick change blades on them. So that's kind of the basics that covers both machines. And so we'll move into a little bit about the conditioner here.
Before you move on, Don, let me just back up just a second. Cutter bar on this machine, trailed machine, you said similar to what we have on the ECR. So basically commonality in all those features that Brad and Jake talked about on a 3-point mower that we've included here into the trailed mowers. Is that right?
That's correct. It's actually the same exact cutter bar. If you see an ECR 280 or an ECTS 320, ECR 320 or an ECTS 320, that is the same cutter bar, same features, everything internally.
Quick change knives, safe cut hubs, change rotation,
Same
full
size disc, everything.
Perfect.
Okay, so we'll start talking about our different types of conditioners. What we have here, both of our machines here, are actually our flail type, or what we call the CV V-tine conditioner. The tines here serve a couple of different purposes. First purpose is it will come in and pull the material off of the cutter bar to improve the crop flow. The other purpose is actual conditioning part is it is going to press it up against our conditioning hood here that is diamond plated. And actually, if you watch closely, David's going to turn the crank over there and you can see the conditioning hood actually move. And that's how you want to show how aggressive you want it. You can pull it down. The further you pull it down, the more aggressive it's going to act. And with the V-tine conditioner, your purpose here with the conditioning is it's actually knocking the wax off the crop to improve the dry down time. Over on this side, one of the other features that we have is to adjust the aggressiveness. Is that we have a 2-speed gearbox here. If you're in a heavier crop, need to pull more through, you can spin this around and have it running at a 900 RPM. If you want to be a little more gentle or you have a little bit thinner crop, you spin this back and it's just a thumb bolt that locks it in place. And while we're over here, there's one other feature I wanted to show that's not about the conditioners.
Don, I'm gonna back you up here just one more second. So this is, we call this a 2-speed gearbox, right?
Yes, sir.
So by turning that little handle there that you just demonstrated, you're changing how fast my conditioner is turning.
Correct.
Is that correct?
I can either go at 900 RPMs or 600 RPMs on the conditioner itself without changing any speed on the mower itself. So we can run our mower at the same speed and adjust the conditioning quality by just a spin of that handle.
Just curious, I'm sure somebody out there may be curious, but if I want to have that feature on my V-tine mower conditioner, what's that option going to cost me?
Well, it is included in the cost. That is a standard feature on all of our Krone V-tine conditioners.
So that gives us just another little thing that we can do to adapt this machine to individual and specific crop conditions and customer preferences. Standard equipment on the Krone V-tine conditioning machines.
Correct. Before we go into the other types of conditioner, I just wanted to show one other feature that Jake and Brad went through, and just go through that. Just like they said, if you needed to change your roll pins on your shear hub, it's as simple as taking out the bolts and pulling out and then replacing your pins in there. And the one thing that I really want to point out is when you can do this in the field without opening up the cutter bar, you're not getting into the oil of the cutter bar by replacing that.
Now, Don, you're either really strong or you cheated a little bit and had those bolts loose to start with.
Yeah, I might have cheated just a touch before we started.
It was an important point for him to show there. If we do have a shear hub that breaks, or if you do need to get into your turtles, your discs for any particular reason, your cutter bar is still sealed up. So your oil's not getting contaminated, dust, dirt, debris, nothing can get in there. It's still all sealed up, tight, good to go.
Correct.
All right, let's keep talking about conditioners.
Okay, so our next type of conditioner that we offer is our rubber roller machine that has a chevron pattern. And it has some different adjustments by the gap of the how far apart you have the rollers. The purpose of our rubber roller is to be a little more gentle on a leafy crop where the leaf is important to maintain or to keep, like an alfalfa or something like that.
Yeah, rubber rollers, gentle, still gets you a good conditioning effect, but you maintain your leaves in your crop, maintain that protein and that feed value.
Correct. The purpose of that chevron pattern is to actually break the stem, crimp it, and to let the moisture drain out that way. And then next and final is Krone exclusive that we want to show you is our new M-roll pattern. It has a very similar purpose to the chevron rubber roll, but obviously we have a steel-on-steel roller, and so you can get a much more aggressive conditioning with this one, but it also has more touch points, so you have more points of crimping. And what we're going to have is we're going to have Rob pull out our fancy silver crop, and we're going to run it through it, and you can get a good visual of how it works.
I'm going to jump in here since we're sharing mics. Rob, we were talking a little bit about this earlier as we were prepping, and I'll hand the mic to you and you just answer this question. But as Don mentioned, a new style conditioner for Krone called the M-Rolls. Now, I have a son, his name's William, and for me, that's a W. But if you like M's or M&M's, it's an M-Roll. Krone likes M's, so it's a new M-Roll. But Rob, if you don't mind, just why would we want to go to an M-Roll style, this design that Krone has, versus the standard steel-on-steel conditioners that most folks are used to seeing?
Okay, well, as most of you know, with the roller conditioner, the crimping points in the stem are where the moisture will travel to evaporate to speed up your dry down. So the M-Roll gives us more contact points that you were mentioning. So we have more places on the stem that conditioner has bent or cracked the stem. So you have more places for it to evaporate, so you get a faster dry down with this conditioner.
Still going to get the longevity and the durability of steel rollers. We've just increased and what we feel like is an improvement on the crimping pattern. Is that a pretty fair summary? All right, Don, we good?
I think that's good on our conditioners. Well, I think we'll walk over this way and we'll show a few more features of our newest.
Before our camera guy leaves, just real quick, I just wanted to point out, we kept the shield off of this side of the M-Rolls to show that when you do get a roller conditioner from Krone, whether it be the rubber rollers or our M-Rolls, both rollers are driven. So this gearbox ties those two together, and both of our rollers are driven. I just wanted to point that out before we walked away from this. So Don, let's move on over here and we'll talk more about what you want to mention.
Okay. So what I'd like to do is just point out a few features on our newest style of mower conditioners. Like Brad and them showed, all of our mowers have their toolbox with the blades that have the blade number, the number on it. So when you need to replace it, it's easy to do. You don't have to go pull out that parts book and try to figure it out, or ask that parts guy what you're looking for. Other thing that we have is your cutting height adjustment is here. And you just, if you want to raise it, you can raise your cutting height up, or you can turn the crank to lower it down. The other crank on this side is where David was moving the baffle plate. This is your crank to adjust the baffle plate to increase or decrease the amount of conditioning. And the biggest difference in this versus our old style mower conditioners is our hydraulic flotation set. The system starts here, and then, like I said, it's hydraulically set, which gives you the ability to, one, adjust it on the fly, and two, it's just a whole lot easier to set than trying to set those cranks, make sure you get the right flotation. There's a gauge up here at the front that shows you your pressure gauge. And so, like I said, if you have one field that's real smooth, you can go at one flotation set, and then you go to the next one that has a lot of rocks and you need to adjust it, then you can go from there. So actually what we're going to do here, we've got Rob in the tractor. We're going to cycle through this a couple of times. First one, we'll have the cameras looking at the monitor here and showing the needle move and setting the flotation. And then after that, I'll move out of the way, and what I want you to do is, as he moves the pressure up, you can actually watch the cutter bar kick up, so you can see it adjusting the flotation. So you can see that's very simple to do on the fly, especially for someone that has multiple fields. and need different flotations in either one, it can be done hydraulically from the tractor versus getting out, sweating, and trying to turn those cranks to adjust the springs.
Real quick, I just wanted to mention, Rob was operating the tractor for us there. We were not moving the hydraulic cylinder that actually raises and lowers the mower. He was just adjusting the float, and hopefully you guys could see that on your computers there or on your devices that you're watching on. You can actually physically see that cutter bar, the whole cutter bar, adjusting to the flotation pressure that Rob adjusted from inside the tractor. We feel that's a really, really great feature that's going to enhance mowers that we feel already are superior in ground contouring and flotation across the ground. If you camera guys would walk with me just a bit here, this is something we haven't rehearsed, but Jake mentioned something in our triples, and I just wanted to point out, he mentioned front mowers on a tractor were actually pulled through the field. If you remember, Brad in the 3-point mowers talked about our duo grip and how we float through the field. Our trailed mowers have the same concept. So even though our cutter bar is sitting down underneath our frame, we're actually pulling our cutter bar through the field. And Don and I got a little bit tickled at Rob. Rob already admitted that he's ancient with Krone in Krone years, but there was a marketing campaign that we used long ago, and it was as simple as pulling a chair or pushing a chair across a floor or across your driveway, through your yard, whatever. If you rear that chair back and try to push it across the yard or push it across the floor, of course it's going to hang up and skid or I guess slide around. But if you do the same thing, turn around and pulling it, it can pull much simpler through the field. And we have that same design concept. Don, since I'm holding the mic, would you camera guys just kind of zoom in there with Don, and Don point out where our duo grip is and how we're pulling through the field?
So basically we got the big out the frame that's carrying the whole mower, but where it's actually connecting is through our duo grip system here. So it is back there pulling the cutter bar across the field. So we're connecting to the frame, so you got all the support and all, but we are still back here pulling with our system.
Yeah, we have all the strength of that we need to carry it, but we're actually pulling it through the field for flotation. And camera guys, I'm sorry for those of you at home, I'm putting these guys through their paces, and I apologize for that. Rob, if you'll step right back in here with us real quick. Don, we just got a few more things to talk about on trails before we wrap up, but maybe give our viewers what sizes we offer, maybe some options that we offer on trailed mowers.
Okay, yeah, we have the right size for about any type of operation. We have ranges anywhere from 9 foot all the way up to 20 foot in our trailed mower systems. Obviously, we went through the different conditioners. We have the 3 different type conditioners. One of the things that you can see here is we have a side pivot, which is the mower that's back there, the first one we went through, that is always going to pull to the one side of the mower. And then this one is our center pivot mower that will allow you to swing the mower on either side of the tractor. So if you wanted to go down, cut one side, and then turn around and cut on the other side of the tractor, your center pivot's going to be the machine for you. On our 13 through 20 foot, we also offer an N-wise transport system that will allow you to turn the mower itself sideways, so you can transport down the road at about 9 foot, but then you get to the field, and with the switch in the box in the tractor, you can put that back in cutting mode and be back at your 13 to 20 foot cutting. The one other option that we do offer is you can order our systems. Jake went in depth about the merger systems. On certain models, you can also order a merging system with these.
Same concept as we just talked about on triples. If you have a merger system, you don't have to merge. You can get the merger up out of the way and just do regular mowing and conditioning. If you got it, of course, you can use it. Got a few questions, and Rob, I'm going to shoot one to you here. Again, thanks to everybody for the questions. I don't really know if we're going to be able to answer this one, but we're going to give it a shot because there's some subjectability, whatever that word is I'm trying to say. It'll use some opinion.
You want me to make it up as we go?
Yeah, that's code for Rob. Make this answer up right. First one, go back to triples. I think I missed this earlier, but I think you probably know the answer to this, Rob. Are triple mowers ISOBUS compatible?
Depends on the model.
Perfect answer. We talked about it being so varied before, but yes, it will depend on the model. Our I can call them higher ends would be ISOBUS compatible, where you actually need the control from the cab. The more standard versions, it's not necessary, not needed. All right, so I was supposed to ask you guys this question when we were talking about the M rolls, and both you guys kind of weigh in. I don't know that I have enough experience yet with this, but do we see a large difference in dry down time with the M rolls?
That sounds like a sales question.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I've not had enough experience. I'm sure we can get an answer from Germany because they've been running them longer than we have here. It's fairly new to the North America market, but I can't give you the specifics of what that is, but we can probably find that for that person.
I would say we feel like it does, but to give you a specific number, I don't know that I have that data for you.
You guys at home, you can see this little thing in my ear, so you know people are talking to me. So it's your best friend when you're on your first date. You know, somebody's giving you all the good lines to say. So that's what I have here. But the folks in our control room are telling me that the guys are experiencing a lot faster dry down with the M rolls, up to a day and a half faster conditioning. Again, the M roll, you've got more crimp spots, so you've got more cracked places in that stem and in that leaf to where your moisture can escape. So I'm going to say pretty confidently that we're going to experience faster dry down times, but you folks at home know it also is going to depend on your conditions, crop, all that sort of thing. We got one more question, another opinion question, so we love these. So we all three can get a shot at this one. I'll go first, that way the pressure's off. What are your thoughts about mower conditioners for mixed pasture grass in our area? So Collierville, I guess that's local area, mixed grass, different grass forages, maybe fescue, orchard grass, something like that, I'm assuming from this question. I can just tell you personally, I live in Western North Carolina. We use mower conditioners for our fescue, orchard grass, mixed hay. We see significant dry down advantages using a mower conditioner versus a 3-point. Our practice at home, and again, this is our farm at home, is we mow. If it doesn't get any rain on it and we got a big enough window, then we won't use the tedder because we feel the conditioner gives us enough dry down. And I'll throw a shameless plug in here for tomorrow's event, and we talk about rotary rakes. We do use a rotary rake behind our mower conditioner, so that helps us as well. So I'll let you guys, both of you want to answer that, give your opinion as well, but the question is, what are your thoughts about mower conditioners for mixed pasture grass in our area?
I'll second David. I think that the conditioner is the way to go, and I think the other part is I would probably lean somebody towards the V-time conditioner. It's going to be the more aggressive, but with the mixed grass, you're not as much worried about leaf loss, and it also has the least opportunity of if you run a rock through it or something like that, you're replacing a tine versus having to repair a roller.
So I guess, is the question which conditioner, or would you use a conditioner?
It may be which. The words, what are your thoughts about mower conditioners for mixed pasture grass? Don may have hit it more on the head than me, though, so take it off.
I guess I'll probably join you in most of your same thoughts. If you're looking at a mower conditioner for mixed grass in this area, I would probably recommend the tine conditioner as well. It gives you a little bit more versatility. You have the adjustment for speed on the conditioner as well. If it gets tall, you want that rotor to be able to turn a little faster to get the crop through and pull it through faster. But if the question is, do you want a mower conditioner or straight mower on the thing, then kind of like when we were talking about the triples, that also comes back to what the tractor the customer has. If you've got a little smaller tractor, you might like the pull type version. If you've got a little bit bigger tractor, you can run the 3-point mower and then run a tedder with it too. So probably depends a little bit on what the customer's tractor setup is as well.
Perfect. We do have one more quick question before I get to that, though. I'm gonna back up here. Customers ask us a lot about which conditioners would be best. I may be the only person at Krone that likes roller conditioners over V-tines. Everybody else likes V-tines. It's simply what I am used to, what we use. We get really good conditioning effects out of our roller machines. If you're going to adjust the conditioning, it's more involved to adjust conditioning on a roller machine. We've made it really easy on the V-tine machines. We've made it as easy as possible on the roller machines, but that would be my only drawback to rollers. But other than that, I'm a roller guy, but everybody else is a V-tine guy. All right. One question, but again, they're here in my ear and they're telling me that we're running long on time. So we will try to answer this question maybe in a comment or an email back to the guy that asked this. Do appreciate the questions. Keep them coming. I know that Leighton's going to want some questions when we do tethers. And speaking of that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap up here. Rob, Don, thanks a lot. You guys at home, again, we showcased our new design mower conditioners, trailed mowers. We've still got the options available. So if you do have questions, if you do need us, Trail mentioned our dealer network. Reach out to your sales guys, reach out to us. Any questions at all, we're more than happy to talk to you. We enjoy getting to know our customers and being able to help where we can. With that, we'll wrap this up, and you guys in the control room, if you'll switch us to video, we'll move on. We have tethers next.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. We're down to our final product of the night, and we're going to be talking about tethers. And actually, tethers is probably one of my favorite products. I've seen the tethers morph in my years with Krone from a crop storage tool to a crop improvement tool. Let me explain that. It used to be, when I first started, that a customer only used a tether, for example, when the hay got rained on or if it was matted, wouldn't dry, and it was just an attempt to salvage the crop. But that changed in about 2005 when we came out with this tether's predecessor, the KW550. Up until that point, most everybody had two basket tethers, and there were problems with them. They were extremely slow and they were deathly unreliable. So we came out in 2003, 2004 with the KW-T550 tether, and it was a heavy, robust tether. It was a 4-rotor, and it would get over the crop in a hurry. And what people determined after using this is that their hay quality actually improved. The bale quality improved. You had less ash content in the bale. You had better color in the bale. It raked better, and it baled better. So during that time, the tether became part of the haymaking process. So people would run a tether basically just to get a better hay bale. So it's become a part of the haymaking process. And the tethers are really a growing market for us. Every year we see the sales go up on tethers, where the rest of the products are stagnant or just a little bit of growth. And we really make a good tether. And I have Leighton Norwood with me. And as you can tell, Leighton is from Texas, and they sell a lot of tethers in Texas. So Leighton is very knowledgeable about the Krone tether line. And Leighton, we'd love for you to give us some information on them.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trail. As he said, my name is Leighton Norwood, and I'm the territory manager in East Texas. I've been with Krone for about 5 years, and when I first came on with Krone, I actually rode with Trail, and when I was introduced to him, I was told that this is Tedder Trail. So he was being a little modest, but getting to talk Tedders with Trail tonight is akin to getting to shoot basketball with Michael Jordan or play baseball with Babe Ruth. Also, Trail, I would like to mention we're supposed to have another guy here with us tonight, Mr. Dan Harding, the Territory Service Manager in the Southeast. He was unable to be with us, but Dan, if you're out there watching tonight, just know that we wish you the best and we can't wait to get back out in the field with you. Now, Trail, as you mentioned, this is the KW552T. I'll get into a little bit of the nomenclature, how we come up with the numbers, how we use the letters before or after the numbers to dictate which model we're talking about. But we have a really impressive line of tedders where we go from a 15-foot 4-basket tedder all the way up to a 64-foot tedder that you can really cover the ground with. I'm going to use this one. It's probably the most common tedder that we sell. It's also one of the most widely sold tedders in all of North America, which here at K&A we're very proud of. On this tedder, I will mention a lot of the common factors that are on the small tedders all the way up to the really large ones. Then as we move to the larger tedders, I'll point out a little bit of the differences and the really unique features that they have on there. But without further ado, we're going to get started and talk about these. If you get on your local, if you go to your local coffee shop, if you get on the internet coffee shops, Facebook, Hey Talk, things like that, you'll hear people talk about tedders. And when they talk about Krone tedders, one of the very first things that they always mention is how strong and robustly they're built. And we're very proud of that. So I'm going to talk about a few of the things that make these tedders so strong and able to take the abuse that they do. And then we'll get into some of the convenience features of them, and then we'll move on to our larger tedders. So we're going to step right around here. And when you look at this tedder, probably the first thing that you might have noticed is we have a very large tubular frame. That tubular frame allows us to be more rigid, more sturdy, without having to put a lot of stress that if you have a smaller one or if you just use pipe or something like that, that you would have. So this tubular frame also allows us to hang all of our rotors beneath the frame without those being built into the structure of the tedder. That takes stress off of it, off of your rotors, off of your gearboxes, and puts the stress on the frame, and that's where you carry your weight, but that's where your strength is, so we really like that feature. Another thing that you see on this tedder, we're gonna kneel down right here, and you'll see that we have bolt-on wheels and hubs. Now, a lot of our competition, they'll have press-on wheels right here. What these bolt-on wheels and hubs allow us to do is quickly change a flat if you have them in the field, which unfortunately with tedders, you will have flats in the field. So this allows us to quickly get those changed and get you back running. Time is of the essence when you're using a tedder a lot of times, if you're trying to get your crop up before you beat a rain or something. Those also allow us to travel up and down the road a little bit quicker without putting a lot of stress on those small pressed on bearings that a lot of the competition has. When you move on, the next thing I'm going to talk about are our round tubular tine arms. We at Krone really like to stress that these round tubular tine arms are very strong. So with them being round, it actually allows us to have a lot of strength both up and down and side to side. If we were to have a flat bar here, we would have good rigidity back and forth, but it would want to bend up and down. So with the round tubes, it actually allows us to not have a lot of movement in any direction. I could stand on this tine arm right now. I'm pretty clumsy and I have weak ankles, so I would fall if I tried to do that. But you could stand on this and it's not going to bend like a lot of the other ones will. Having such strong tine arms also allows us to wrap our tines around this arm. So a lot of tedders, they'll be mounted underneath. So when you're mounted underneath, you don't have a lot of support. If this tine were to break, it's going to end up in your crop. If it ends up in your crop, you're gonna find it later on with a tractor tire, your baler pickup, something like that. So we have these end caps on here. If you were to break a tine, it'll stay on your tine arm, and you can just repair that when you get back to the field later on. Now, having mentioned our tines, you can see that these are very thick tines. What this is, it just provides a whole lot of strength in these. You can go through any type of really heavy crop without having to worry about breaking a tine, bending a tine, not being able to handle the crop. These will handle any size or weight of crop that you want to move through them. You'll also notice on our tines that they are not the same length. And you might say, well, why are they not the same length? Well, what having an offset tine like this does is allows them to contour the ground a little bit better. If you'll notice, when you're running through the field with the tedder, it's going to be tilted forward towards your tractor. So if we had these the same length, your inside tine would be digging into the ground while your outside tine was having to stay up off the ground. Or if you got it to where your inside tine was not in the ground, your outside one would be really high. So you would only have crop on one of these tines, which would put more stress, more likely to break. So we have these offset tines. Both tines stay in the crop. They stay out of the ground. You don't have to worry about adding trash or ash content to your hay, because as Trail mentioned, we don't want to use this as a salvage tool. We want to use this as a crop improvement tool. So we're always trying to enhance the look and, most importantly, the value of the crop that we're running it through. Now, if we move on to a little bit of our, another thing is the maintenance on tedders. Here at Kron, we like to really talk about how our tedders are very low maintenance. Now, some of the things that make our tedders low maintenance are our gearboxes. We actually have a picture that we can pop up right now that'll show you the inside of our gearboxes. I like having this picture so that we can see it on the screen, because you're not going to be able to see it in the field. These are fully sealed gearboxes, and they're lifetime lubricated. So they're virtually maintenance free. What is running inside them is a semi-fluid grease, kind of like a corn head grease, that a lot of you might be familiar with. And I like to recommend checking them, once a year maybe, but with them being sealed, fully closed gearboxes, you don't have a lot of maintenance that you have to do on those. Moving on our drivetrain, another thing that makes these very low maintenance is right under here. We have this neat little feature called our Octolink. So our Octolink, what that is 8 fingers that stay interlocked all the time. When Trail mentioned that we first came out with a good tedder, the 550, we had a double universal joint here. A lot of our competition will still use a double universal joint. And there's nothing wrong with the double universal joint. It actually does accomplish the job, but they're very loud, and anyone that's familiar with U-joints on any type of driveline knows that they do require a lot of maintenance, and they make a lot of chatter. So when we moved to this Octolink design, you always are in contact with multiple fingers and teeth underneath there. It makes it run quieter, and when it's folded up, you can actually still be running, and you don't have the chatter that you would from a normal driveline. So we really, really like that feature, and we've had nothing but success with it since we came out with this design on the 552. I'm going to move around here a little bit. So another convenience factor of our tedders is that we only need one hydraulic remote to be able to run these. We know on a lot of today's tractors, especially the newer ones that you'd be running a tedder with, they're smaller and they don't have as many hydraulic remotes. So we have an accumulator on our cylinder there in the middle. What that does is allows us to operate both our tilt and our fold functions off of one hydraulic remote right at the front. We also have a drawbar hitch on these tethers so that if you're down in Texas where a lot of your fields might be spread out 30 or 40 miles apart, you can easily hook this machine behind your pickup, travel down the road. We have the bolt-on wheels and hubs that we talked about earlier, so you can travel from one spot to another, no problem, and cover a lot of ground in one day. Now, Trail, I think I'm going to cover something now that a lot of our customers probably have these tethers and they've never used, but I think it's actually a really, really good feature. So if you're sitting at home and you have a Krone 552 or a 782 tether maybe, and you have this handle in the back and you've always wondered, well, what is this? Well, this is boundary spreading. So if you're cutting your hay in the field and you get your first couple passes around the outside of the field where your fence rows are, this allows you to move the crop away from the fence row, because if we think about how a tether works, when you're going through the field, it's going to spread it out evenly behind the tether. Well, if you spread it out too close to your fence row, you're going to lose some crop into those fences. So this allows us to spread that crop back into the field and not into the fence. So you can actually just take this handle and move it one way or the other. It moves the wheels and axles that are under each rotor, and that will determine the direction that you're actually going to throw your crop. So you drive straight with your tractor, but because we can turn and angle those wheels, it'll actually kind of make your tether crab walk behind your tractor, and that will allow us to save that crop and get it off of the fence. I think that is most of the features that I want to cover on our 4-basket tether. We're going to move over to an 8-basket tether now and talk about...
Can you break for a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
This may be a good transition, but this came in via email. But we have a customer who has a 4-rotor tether, and he wants to move up to a larger tether.
Okay.
And I'm paraphrasing here, and he says, how do I know which one will best suit my operation?
Okay, that's actually a really good question, and it's something that I know we're running into more and more down in Texas, because labor is hard to find these days. So the best way to determine what size tether that you need is actually to not think about your tether first, it's to think about your cutter.
Right.
So you want to match your tether to your cutter. So if you have a 10-foot cutter, say, what you would want to do is measure the swath that comes out from behind your cutter. You're usually going to lose roughly, I don't know, 10% from your cutter down to the swath. So if you have if you want to catch 3 swaths behind a 10-foot cutter, then you would need roughly 27 feet. And that would bring us to this tether here, actually. It's the KWT 882. It's about 28 feet, 11 inches. But that's how you would do that, is you would actually want to take your cutter, measure the swath that comes out behind it, and then match your tether to those widths. So you want to add a little bit of overlap in there, because I know that I'm not a good enough tractor operator to drive straight all the time, especially when you take into account that I'm going to check my phone or something like that occasionally as well.
You know, up until the last couple of years, probably 90% of the tethers sold were 4 rotors. And so, you know, people decided, well, I want to go bigger. Well, we thought everyone would just transition up to a 6-rotor tether from 4 to 6. And that really hasn't been the case. We've got people that go, you know, from the 4-rotor tether, you know, up to the 60-footer, you know, because they've realized the value of tedding hay.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we've seen the transition from 4 rotors to, you know, this size machine.
Right.
And every year the numbers just keep getting larger on it.
Well, I think the one of the driving factors behind that, Trail, is that it actually is a value-added tool. You're able to save a lot of color in your grass.
Right.
And we know that when you get into the higher end hay market, whether you're dealing with coastal Bermuda grasses, even alfalfas, you really want a bright green colored hay
Exactly.
that helps sell that to those higher end customers.
Right. And you know, I don't think I've ever heard a customer say, I wish I'd bought a smaller tedder.
No, sir.
No, so they
Absolutely
never
not.
say that. Well, thanks for answering the
Yep,
question.
no problem. We're going to come back over here to this 882 tedder that I was just talking about. I mentioned earlier that this was a 552T, and then this one is a KWT 882. So the placement of the T is actually pretty important on our tedders when you're looking at the models. If you have the T directly in front of the number, that actually means that it is a trailed option, and it will have a large set of transport wheels that you can see on this tedder here. We offer these large transport wheels on our 6 baskets, which will cover about 25 feet, all the way up to our large 16 rotor 60 feet or 64 foot models. That is a really, really good option because we've talked several times about all of the features that make a Krone tedder really strong and really heavy duty. So if we were to fold this tedder up and just try to pull it down the road on the small axles under each rotor, we would have pretty poor luck with that. I mentioned we would have blowouts, we would have flats, and possibly even axle problems. So Krone recognized that, and we came up with these large transport wheels that actually fold up out of the way while you're in the field operating. But when you need to go down the road, they fold down. They lift your entire tedder up off the ground and give you the ability to travel down the road without having to worry about your small wheels. Now, in an 8 basket like this, we offer it 3 different ways, actually. You can get it with a drawbar hitch like we have on this model here. That allows you to hook up to a truck pretty easily, move it up and down the road. We have a 2-point hitch, and then you can actually get it in a 3-point model where if you have, in Texas, I have some customers that have a dedicated tractor where they don't need to hook and unhook it a lot, so they will put a 3-point model on that one tractor and just leave it year round. And if you have that ability, I actually think that's a really, really good option. Now, I mentioned on our 4-basket tedder that we only needed 1 hydraulic remote. Well, you look at this one and you're like, oh, well, we're almost doubling the amount of ground that we cover with this tedder. Surely we need more than 1 hydraulic remote. But once again, the engineers at Krone take into account the modern trends with tractors, and we've actually put a diverter valve on here so that you still only need 1 hydraulic remote. You can plug it in, you can turn this valve, and it will actually allow you to go from field mode to road mode and allow you your border spreading as well. Because the boundary spreading that I talked about with trail on our 4-basket and how it's a very, very useful feature. When you move up to our 8-basket and larger tedders, trying to do it manually is just a little tough. So they're actually hydraulic, and we have a bar right back here that will turn all of the axles underneath your tedder and allow you to throw your crop back into the direction that you want it to go in your field. I think that is all of the features on this 882 tedder that I'm going to cover. So I'm actually going to move over to a really large and robust tedder now.
We have another question.
Okay, yes.
Okay, I'm not sure who this is from, but how do you set the tedding height on your tedders?
That's a good question. So whether you are looking at a 4-basket or an 8-basket tedder, we have a crank right here in front of the tedder. You will turn this and that will actually set your tedding height. A lot of people ask me, how do you know what height you need to run your tedder at? Well, in my opinion, that really depends on the height of the stubble that you leave with your cutter. but a general rule of thumb that I usually go with is I like to be able to put the toe of my boot under the tines that are right here on the front of your tedder. That usually gives you about 1.5 inches or so off of the ground. That keeps you out of the dirt because we never want to be adding ash content back into our crop.
All right, thank you.
One other adjustment that is on these tedders that kind of correlates with your tedding height is you can set the angle that you ted and the angle that we throw the crop out behind the tedder. We actually set that angle with our wheels. They are adjustable, and we have a video that we'll show right now of being able to adjust these wheels. So what this does, when you have 4 different settings that you can put it in, what this does is it changes the angle that we're going to throw the crop out behind. I like to put them in a very aggressive position so that it throws it really wide, lays it out really flat. If you were in a more delicate crop such as alfalfa, where you were really concerned about leaf retention, then you might put it in a little more flat position so that you don't, you're not as rough on the crop and you aren't knocking off as many leaves. Now we're going to move over to a really big tedder, something that I'm excited about that we're selling more and more of down in Texas. And this is our KWT 1300. We'll step right over here and look at it. This is our KWT 1300. This tedder is 41 feet wide. We have models that are 41 all the way up to 64 feet in this configuration. I know down in Texas, they say everything is bigger in Texas, and we've really started migrating towards these tedders. What it does is allow you to really get over the ground quicker. We run a lot of irrigation on our crops, so we want to get the quicker we can pull the crop back off of the meadows, the quicker we can turn the irrigation back on, the more cuttings we can get, which will give us more value out of those acres at the end of the day. So if we actually look right down this tedder, it looks like it's going all the way across the warehouse, and that's because it's 41 feet long. But it also goes all the way up to 64 feet. And you might say, well, I don't have room in my barn, or I'm not able to go down the road at 41 feet. That just takes up too much space. Well, this tedder will fold up into a very nice compact transport position where it's roughly 10 feet wide. We have a video right now that we will play that shows how you can fold this tedder from 41 feet, even 64 feet, all the way down into a 9-foot wide road package. And we'll just watch this video right now and see how that works. When you get it folded up, you can travel, instead of needing an 8-lane highway like it looks like you would need right now, you can go down single lane county roads, things like that. You see a really large, in the video, you see a really large hydraulic cylinder. That actually will set your tedding height on this one as well. We don't have a crank to adjust that with, so this is one of the, actually that's false. We have a crank on the other side. That was incorrect. Well, we've played the video, we've talked about all the features. One thing on this tedder that you've probably noticed is we have a little flag or a curtain out behind it. You might be wondering what that is for. I've talked about it on both of our other models because I think it's a very important feature. And this is how we control our boundary spreading on the 1300, 1600, and 2000 models. This curtain keeps the crop out of the fence because we're actually not able to directionally turn the wheels underneath each rotor. And that's about the last feature on this tedder that I want to talk about. But, Trail, there is one other thing that I mentioned earlier, and that was the tines, and we really kind of harped on that.
Yes.
And some of our viewers might have already noticed that the tines on this tedder look a little different than the tines on all of our other tedders. So going forward in the future, we're going to see a lot more of these. And what you'll see is these tines, instead of being straight up and down, they actually have a curve to them. What we've determined is that this curve actually allows us to hold on to the crop just a hair longer, which will give us a more even, flat spread going out behind. If any of our viewers have a KW 552, KW 782, you might have noticed that it would windrow a little bit in really dry conditions, and that's because the tines just couldn't hold on to that crop quite long enough to give us the nice, flat, even mat out behind it. Well, by adding this curve, it actually allows us to do that. It's gonna be standard on a lot of tedders going forward, and the owner of this one is gonna be lucky because they already come installed.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Leighton. I did have a question
Okay.
that a customer had sent me 2 or 3 days ago from actually one of the forums.
Okay.
And he wanted to know why we use different size rotors on our tedders.
Absolutely. So we did see that on the 4-basket tedder, the rotor diameter is a lot bigger, and that's because the tine arms are a lot longer. So that we have to have longer tine arms because of the spacing and the timing on these tedders. On the 4-basket tedder, we needed to cover 18 feet with fewer number of gearboxes and rotors to make them competitive in the market. So we actually had to add a longer tine arm onto the rotors to make that possible. Now, I will say that the smaller your rotor diameter, the better tedding quality you will get. The shorter tine arms allow you to make more consistent contact with your crop as you're going through the field, and it will spread it more evenly. That's not to say that our 4-basket and 6-basket tedders that use the large diameter rotors do a bad job. It's just you will get a better tedding quality, whether it be with Krone or any other brand of tedder on the market. The smaller the rotor diameter, the better quality ted you will get.
I think that's a good statement, absolutely. Well, thank you, Leighton. You have earned the title of the new Tedder King now. So
well, thanks, Trail.
You did an excellent job. So we're going to go to just a short video, and then David and I will be back to wind up tonight. So thank you all.
To harvest higher quality hay, you need a superior quality tedder and rotary rake. Start with a Krone tedder to speed up dry down. These heavy-duty tedders feature a clean sweep tine design that lifts the crop cleanly. Follow up with a Krone rotary rake, offering exclusive jet effect lift system and tine design that creates a cleaner windrow for faster dry down. Krone tedders and rakes for higher quality hay.
Okay. Okay, folks, we're back for the final time tonight. David, I will label this a success. I think the team did an excellent job. One of the things I'm really proud of is, we were trying to make the decision to whether to do this live or record it and play it back later. And unanimously, we all wanted to do it live. And to do something like this live where you're going to have questions and audience, it takes a lot of courage. And I think the team did an excellent job. So, do you have any final comments?
I sure do, Trail. I'll echo what you said. I think we've had a successful night. It's not been a trouble-free night. We've had some hiccups and mistakes. And I will, real quickly, you folks there can't see this, but directly behind these cameras is Colin. Colin, I think you're our youngest team member, but we had a little technical difficulty, and Colin has been dragging camera cable around all evening. So, Colin, I don't know how many steps you've got in, but you've done a great job, and we appreciate that. But Trail, to go back to what you were mentioning, this was an entire team effort. I got to thank everybody. It was my idea, and I've had to sleep with one eye open for a very long time because all these guys are mad at me. But they have really pulled together and helped to do this. I hope you folks that have watched tonight have learned some things that maybe you wanted to learn. If you still have questions, I know our folks, put them in the comments, send them to us. We're coming right back again tomorrow, and we're going to be into rakes, round balers, and big square balers. And Trail, I'll let you close us up. But again, thanks to everybody for watching.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, that's why we're here. We're here because of you guys. Our customers, the people that support us by our products. So yeah, thank you guys all so much, and we hope to see you guys tomorrow, 6:30.